The space you come home to every day should feel inviting and comforting, maybe even inspiring. It shouldn't stress you out, and it shouldn't make you feel like a slob. So if you're feeling more of the latter, then there's probably some clutter and, dare I say it, filth that needs to be dealt with. But if you're a naturally messy person, or you just hate cleaning and cannot be bothered to even have a cleaning routine, then the good news is that a 10-step cleaning routine is not the only answer. There are simple actions that you can take on a day-to-day basis to create a space that feels good when you walk into it and stays ready for unexpected visitors. Because if I'm being honest, you can light all of the candles that you want and have the prettiest decor on your shelves, but if your habits don't reflect the type of space that you want to live in, you're just not going to get there. The tiny habits that I'm about to share are the things that we practice in our own home to maintain a fairly clutter-free and decently clean space almost all of the time. Make sure you stick around to the end of this video for a genius tip that I learned recently that helps me do the things that I don't always feel like doing in a split second. Let's get started. Use a bin or a basket for the things that just don't have a place in your space. So in our home, at our entryway table, we actually have two baskets. One of them is for my purse and just everyday essentials that I often use when I'm going out to run errands and that always typically need to be kept there because I'm using them so frequently. And then we have another basket that's designated for the items that just can't be put away in our home, if that makes sense. So these are things like items that need to be returned to someone, Tupperware, for example, items that need to be returned to stores and that we haven't gotten around to, even things that I have decluttered around the home and don't have the time to necessarily take to a donation center right away. They all end up in this one basket, and it just helps to contain that clutter instead of having it everywhere and all over our home. If you start doing this, I'm sure that your mom is going to thank you for returning the reusable containers that she's lent you time and time again. In our home, we've made it a habit to put things back in their designated spots once we're done using them. So I'm talking shoes when we walk in the door, outerwear kind of in that same area, pillows and blankets that we use on the couch when we're lounging, even, toothbrushes and toothpaste that are left out on the bathroom sink. By putting things away as soon as you're done using them, you just maintain that clutter-free appearance in your space, and it just prevents having clutter accumulate on top of each other over time, because we all know that if you wear a pair of shoes and you just throw them off and leave them out in the open, there's probably going to be 4 pairs there by the end of the week. It's happened in our house, and so we really try hard to put them back where they belong once we're done using them. When I use an item from my wardrobe, I leave the hanger out in the open so that when I'm done wearing that item, it's easier for me to actually put it away. If the hanger goes back in the closet or I leave it in there once I've taken the item off of it, I'm less likely to actually hang it up and put it back at the end of the day. So just leaving it out in the open on my bed usually gives me that clue and hint to actually put it away once I'm done. This could work for you if you are also in the same situation where you hang a lot of your clothes. Every single morning, without fail, I open the curtains and I make the bed. This is so stupidly simple, but it's so easy to just walk away from and not do. And I think a lot of people still don't make their beds. If you're one of those people, then this is your sign that you need to start doing it, because honestly, it sets the tone for the day and it sets the tone for the bedroom space in general. It just kind of creates a clean slate, if that makes sense, and it makes getting to bed at the end of the day much more enticing. Wipe down your surfaces. Make it a habit to just wipe things down once you're done using a space. In our house, we've got Swedish dishcloths all over the place, and we use them to wipe kitchen counters, the dining room table once we're done eating, the cooktop or stovetop in your case it might be, even the bathroom counter. We've got a little rag underneath the sink, and so when we're done using that area, we wipe up the water so that there's no watermarks left, because honestly, it's such a minute thing to see, but it does just create the feeling of grime and dirt in a space, and having a clean countertop it does wonders. I don't know, I walk into a space, if I see a clean countertop, the space overall feels so much cleaner than if there was water everywhere, toothpaste on the counter, you know, all of that gross stuff. You can even use a squeegee in some cases. I've seen these like mini ones that you can just hang up on the inside of a cabinet door, and you just squeegee the water right back into the sink once you're done using the space. It takes only a few seconds. It's so easy to do. So try making it a habit to just clean up that space and maintain it. Along that same line, we rinse out the surfaces that we use once we're done. So for the kitchen sink, if we were washing dishes, we use the spray head and just kind of rinse down the sides. A lot of grime, dirt, and just leftover food pieces can sit in there, and then once they've sat there and kind of dried up a bit, they're harder to remove and you're less likely to actually go in and scrub them off, right? So when we rinse it down, it just maintains the sink area and keeps it looking clean most of the time. The same thing happens for the bathroom sink. Just use your hands. You like splash a little bit of water around the surface of the sink and it just cleans it off, whatever it might be, toothpaste, facial hair after shaving, and whatnot. We also do this in the shower. Every time I'm done showering, I will take the shower head and just rinse down the glass doors as well as the tiles surrounding to get rid of any soap grime. And I like doing this because it makes the regular weekly clean of the shower and the sinks so much easier. You know, if there was built up soap grime on these surfaces, it would take me longer to actually clean them every week. And even if you're not someone who cleans the shower or the sinks in your space, I don't know, maybe some people don't clean those spaces. Maybe you're one of those people. Just doing this on a daily basis can definitely help to keep those surfaces fairly clean. This is something that I am still working on building a consistent habit out of, and that is emptying out the kitchen sink strainer each time there's any type of food particles in it. I hate doing this. I find it so disgusting. We don't have a garburator in our house, and so we use that strainer just to, you know, prevent buildup inside of the pipes. So if you have a garburator, this one might not apply to you. If you do use a strainer though, try to empty it out when you actually see that there's stuff in it after washing dishes. If you're like me, if stuff builds up in there, I am way less likely to empty it out, and it'll just sit there for hours, sometimes for days, or until JR does it, because I can't be bothered with it if there's too much. So doing it when there's only a little bit of food in there and it's just been freshly washed off of dishes is so much easier and more convenient, and it just maintains the cleanliness in the sink too. We deal with the dishes when we are idle. You know, sometimes we'll say, hey, let's put away all of the dishes from the dishwasher, or let's wash all of the dishes in the sink in one, stint. But most of the time, I'm kind of doing it in tandem with another task, whether that is waiting for a piece of bread to pop out of the toaster, waiting for a pan to heat up, waiting for food in the microwave to heat up. I'm either putting dishes away from the dish rack or dishwasher, or I'm washing the couple of dishes that I have sitting in the sink. And that just helps me to stay on top of cleaning and maintaining that area. I find that we use a lot of dishes, and so if we're not keeping on top of it like this, it builds and builds and builds. And just like the kitchen sink strainer thing, if there is a lot in there, I'm less likely to want to deal with it. So this one might help you. If you are someone who always has a ton of dishes in your sink, try to work on it little by little. You'll probably feel like it's much easier to maintain. With the three of us at home, it usually takes 1 to 3 days for our dishwasher to fill up with dishes so that we run a cycle. We try to run it as full as possible, not to waste water and whatever soap pods that we use. And so when we have run it in the evening or in the afternoon, we always empty it out first thing or in the evening before the next day starts, and it just kind of starts the next day with a clean slate. And it also helps to stay on top of those dishes like I was mentioning, because if the dishwasher is full of clean dishes, number one, we have to empty it out and put everything away, and then number two, we can't put the new dirty dishes inside. So it just kind of piles on top of each other and makes the task so much more tedious. So try emptying out your dishwasher, if you have one obviously, at the beginning of the day or even the end of the day once the cycle has finished, and set yourself up for success in the other, areas of your kitchen. Now, if you were to take one thing from this video and run with it, I hope it would be this habit, and that is to do an end of day tidy up. So at the end of your day, whether that's after dinner or before you go to bed, walk around your home or your bedroom. I don't know, maybe you're living in like a bachelor's pad, who knows? Walk around the space, see if anything is out of place, and put it back where it belongs. It just keeps the space tidy, it prevents clutter from accumulating on top of each other, and it helps to easily maintain the cleanliness and tidiness of the space on an ongoing basis. If this is something difficult that you find you're kind of avoiding at the end of the day, try linking it with something that you already do on a regular basis. That could be brushing your teeth, you know, while you're walking around brushing your teeth, you're picking things up and putting them back where they belong. I don't think most things would need two hands to deal with, so that could work. You kind of get the point here, but linking it with another habit might help you to build that consistent habit as well. Okay, now for this genius tip that I recently learned. It was actually something that Mel Robbins said. She said, if you don't start doing the things you don't feel like doing, you will wake up 1 year from today and be in exactly the same place. I'm talking about you, person with the billion pieces of clothing on their chair, laundry in a basket that hasn't been dealt with for a couple of weeks, dishes piled up in the sink from who knows when. These are the things that you can easily maintain if you do them on a consistent basis so that they don't pile up on each other. And she has this thing called the 5-second rule, where if you have an impulse to act on a goal, and for that, in this case, obviously it would be any of the habits I've just mentioned, you must physically move within 5 seconds or your brain will kill the idea. And personally for me, I've been using this to do so many things that I don't want to do, from getting out of bed in the morning to picking up the few strands of hair that are on my bathroom floor before guests come over, and it actually works. So give it a try, see if it works in incorporating some of these habits into your day-to-day life. Even if you never implement an official cleaning routine for your space, although I would hope that you're still going to be cleaning your toilet because that's kind of icky, I'm pretty confident that if you kept up with these habits, you would be able to maintain a fairly clutter-free and clean space. Even though they are so simple, just by being consistent with these practices in our own home, we're able to maintain that clutter-free appearance and just a general state of cleanliness in our home so that it's always ready if someone shows up at our door, and so that it feels good when we're walking into the rooms in our home. It also makes our weekly cleans so much faster because there is way less buildup of dirt and grime and clutter. Now, if you're sitting there thinking that this is just all too overwhelming and you're still feeling like these habits will not help you in your space, then it might just be that you have too much stuff, because having too much stuff makes cleaning and tidying up so much more difficult and overwhelming. So in that case, I've got a decluttering series that might motivate you or even inspire you a little bit to get rid of the things that you don't need, and I will link that video to start watching that playlist right up here. If you've made it this far, thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.